Animation. Every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Musa was a young fatherless boy from a very modest family. After the death of his father from blood cancer on December 25, 2005, young Musa found himself and his poor mother on the streets due to family conflicts. Musa's uncles had seized their deceased brother's property and driven their nephew and his mother out of the marital home. Rachel, Musa's mother, was thus forced to struggle alone, doing all kinds of work to bring up her only son, who was only 12 years old.
You look beautiful, Rachel.
Thank you, monsieur. I'm flattered.
I've come to chase some of my stores. I'll be here for a week. I hope to spend some quality time with you.
A good time in what sense? I don't even know you.
But you're not a little girl. You must know what I'm talking about.
I'm told you have opportunities for me. If that's what you mean, I'm all for it.
Nice. Now you're talking well, my pretty. You're so beautiful. When I see you, I touch the gates of heaven.
What kind of way is that to approach people? I don't appreciate it.
We're just going to have sex, that's all. I'll pay you your money. It's $2,000 a night and you've asked for it, haven't you? For 7 days, that'll be $14,000, but I'll give you $15,000. I'll transfer you half and then the rest, baby.
Don't try to touch me again. Nonsense. You think you can buy me with money? I'm not a whore.
Are you talking to me like that? But I know you're just pretending. I'll double your money. Did you slap me? No, it's not possible. You, a poor girl like that, are promised this amount of money and then you do your foolishness. How rude is that? I can fry you in this town. You'll get nothing. You suck.
Insult me all you want. But if you dare touch me again, I'll rip your so-called mouth off.
Where are we going, Mom?
We're going to see a friend on the other side of town.
Okay, Mom.
1 hour later.
Please come in. Thank God she came. I'll get a chance to sign that big contract. Hey Rachel, that's you. It's been a while.
Really a long time ago. I hope you're well.
I'm fine and you know it. My business is doing great and I'm still making a ton of money. My champion, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine, Auntie.
But today is the first time I've seen your champion. He's a handsome boy.
Yes, it's my only legacy.
So tell me, what do you think of my proposal?
Of course I need money, but what you're asking me to do goes against my principles and those of God. So that's a no, I won't be able.
What's the matter with you, Rachel? Do you want to die poor or what? But I don't understand you. Look at how you are. Don't you want to change your life?
All I want is a little money to take my child to the hospital.
I'm sorry about your son's health, but you're going to have to learn to fish for yourself. I can't borrow money from you or give it to you just like that. I'm sorry.
That's all right. If you can't help me, God will.
I may have a proposition for you. Champion? Go to the fridge next door and you'll find some snacks. Tighten up.
Thanks, Auntie.
I want you to just pretend to be interested in my client's proposal. Then you can leave.
But how is that possible? What if he asked to have sex with me?
No, it's not obvious. Besides, it'll be in a restaurant, so he won't be able to ask you such a thing. Tell him you'll be back tomorrow to satisfy him. I'll give you $1,000 after that.
Just like that? And the next day, what happens when I don't go?
He won't have it tomorrow. As soon as he pays the $2,000 commitment fee, it's non-refundable and he can't sue me.
He can't? Are you sure? Well, in any case, I've warned you that if I go and he tries to touch me, I'm going to make a scandal out of you.
You can trust me. Your child can be left with one of my friends and will still be safe.
Yes, I know you don't believe Noelle's proposal. But you're right. It was obviously a lie because Noelle already had her plan B. First of all, she lied about the meeting place. It wouldn't be in a restaurant, but rather in the client's house. Once there, she'd order the client's security guards to come and get Rachel. And yes, it will be pure sexual abuse.
How do you like the city?
Not bad.
But what are you thinking? Or are you afraid?
No, I'm thinking about my boy.
Oh, don't worry. You can take him to the hospital tonight.
I hope so.
Tonight I'll have some money to celebrate.
The cars and injured will go to the police station after my colleagues investigate.
Okay, but don't worry, too. But I've been sitting here ever since, and nobody's come to tell me any news. I hope it's not that bad. What am I going to tell the palace? Why did I go out alone? It's like God's punishment. I hope it's not serious.
I'll sit next to you. Oh, my prince, I couldn't see you. I was preoccupied by my sister's condition. Forgive my indelicacy. Excuse me, Your Majesty, but what are you doing here alone? I hope it's not too much trouble.
I had an accident this very evening.
Oh, I hope it's nothing serious.
I hope so too. What about you? What are you looking for?
I was in my store when a policeman called and told me to come to the hospital.
Here? Ah, here comes the doctor.
Sir, please follow me.
It's His Majesty, Doctor. He's our prince.
Excuse me, Your Majesty. I'm not from the country, so I don't know everything. Please, come along.
All right, doctor, don't worry. Ah, you're awake.
What happened, Doctor? Where's my son? Where is my son?
Calm down, ma'am.
I want to see my son.
By the way, you were in an accident, but there were only 2 of you in the car.
2 women as one. I was with my son on our way to the southern city. Where's he now?
Someone wants to talk to you, madam.
I only want to see my son.
What's the news?
She's fine according to the clinical tests. Just that she's lost a bit of memory of everything that happened just before the accident.
But how can she not remember the moment before the accident?
Since she only shouted her son's name. According to her last recollection, she had left the house heading for the southern city with her child.
But there were only 2 of them in the car. Speaking of the second lady, how did she feel? Has she lost her memory too?
Her other case is a little complicated.
Complicated, you say? What did she get?
I couldn't tell you more at the moment, Your Majesty. I'd prefer you to see this one first. In the meantime, I'll see what I can do to contact a member of his family.
All right, doctor. But if it's because of your financial needs that you want to contact her family, I can take care of that without any worries.
Okay, I've made a note, but don't worry.
Who's there?
I'm George, here to see how you're doing. Madam, I'm talking to you. Madam. I'm talking to you.
Excuse me, ma'am. What were you saying?
So you haven't heard anything?
For a moment, the prince thought Rachel had gone deaf. But no, she was under the spell of the prince she'd seen. She'd never seen such a handsome, well-groomed man. Once she'd found herself again, Rachel continued her discussion with the prince.
Indeed, I'm George, the one you had the shock with.
I hope it wasn't anything serious.
No, I didn't even get a scratch.
Thank God for that.
I hope you're okay too.
I'm fine, I just don't know where my son is.
Rest assured, your son wasn't in the car at the time of the accident.
The doctor told me there were just 2 women in the car.
There were.
But where could I have left my child?
Maybe you'd taken him home or dropped him off at school. Don't worry, we'll find your son.
Thank you very much, Georges, but tell me, how is the lady I was with?
I've no idea who she was.
I can't remember who she is, but the person is just fine.
That's my wish too.
Ah, there you are at last. I've been trying to reach you since my people couldn't get through. Oh, sorry, there was another accident on the other side of town that me and my whole Jiran team had to deal with. You had to call the toll-free number. Ah, I didn't know. So the injured are being sent to St. Joe's Hospital. I hope there was nothing serious here. I'd been trying to reach one of the girl's family members since the morning. In fact, since yesterday at 11 p.m., she had gone into a coma, and unfortunately this morning at 7 a.m., she left us.
Oh,
But I had called a lady who claimed to be her sister. It was the last person she'd called before the accident. But nobody had come here. Or maybe it was the lady at the front desk. Who exactly are you looking for, madam?
I came to see my little sister. Someone called me at 5 this morning to tell me she was hospitalized here. But I've been here ever since, and nobody's spoken to me.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you'll have to report to reception in the meantime.
That's what I did. But I was told to wait as there were patients before me.
All you had to do was say it was urgent. What's your name again?
It's Mazalu, sir.
And what's your sister's name?
Her name is Noélie.
If you'll follow me, madame, please sit down. Are you a direct sister of Noélie?
Of course, she's the one who's following me.
Okay, your sister had an accident yesterday, but unfortunately her condition doesn't give us any hope.
Her condition gives no hope whatsoever. She's what? Why didn't you tell me before? I was going to move her to another hospital.
As we speak, your sister is no more.
My God.
Noélie hadn't survived the accident. She'd suffered a cranial shock that had affected her brain. But according to the investigations, the accident wasn't that violent. The proof was that George and Rachel had escaped alive. It was only after hearing the news of Noélie's death and seeing her body that Rachel recovered her memory. She was truly shocked by the situation. Even the prince couldn't believe it.
Do you have any feedback on your brother's absence?
His Majesty. I've been calling him all morning. The call goes through, but he hardly answers. Nevertheless, I've sent a guard out to look for him.
I'm glad. You've done well, my girl. Let me know as soon as you hear from him.
Okay, Father.
George was the crown prince of the kingdom of Damascus. Damascus was the largest kingdom in the world, governing almost every major city in the south and east. This included Noélie and Rachel Town and where hospital was. Indeed, since the sad news of Noélie's death, the prince could no longer leave Rachel alone, as she was in shock. He decided to stay a little longer at the hospital to see how her condition was progressing, and also to find out how he could help Noélie's sister with the arrangements at the morgue. His mobile was on silent, so he couldn't see any incoming calls. But news was spreading fast. The news had gone to the palace since the guards had investigated. They had discovered that there had been an accident and that the prince had also been a victim.
My son the victim of an accident? No, that's not possible. Chief of Guards, please come.
I'm at your service, Your Majesty.
Prepare 10 soldiers, including yourself, and 5 maids with 3 carriages. We'll go in search of the prince. Your wish is my command, Your Majesty. Where was your brother heading last night?
Not in a specific way, Dad. He often slips away in the evenings for a walk.
But since when? Why didn't you inform me? How can my son leave the palace without a guard? It's a disgrace for me.
Dad, ever since the wise men came to remind you that the prince should already have a wife, your son became worried. And whenever he tried to approach women, the guards wouldn't let him. Because according to the guards, it's up to you to find one for him.
But the guards are right. Normally it's me who should find him a woman. And I'll do it as soon as possible.
There's no need to get upset now, Dad. Let's just pray he's healthy.
How do you feel now?
Well, it's just that the medical staff had ordered me to stay in my room.
Yes, it's for your own safety. There are too many people coming. Noélie's sister has come back with the rest of the family to bring in the body. They say they prefer to bury her this very evening. Take heart. It looks like my dad's here.
You're very welcome.
I am the chief soldier of the guard of His Majesty the King of Damas.
You have my utmost respect. What can I do for you?
The king is here to see his son.
Hey Lord, the king himself is here. Wait for me 2 minutes.
Where are you going? We'll follow. What about the prince? Tell me, His Majesty's order.
Easy, easy. The prince is fine and there's nothing wrong with him.
Take me to him.
Dad, what are you doing here with all your entourage?
Calm down and come into my arms instead. I'm glad nothing bad happened to you. Now we're going to leave since you don't have anything.
Dad, I'll come after. You can go home.
There's no way I'm leaving you here. Your sister won't stand for it. You don't belong here.
I'm with a friend. She lost her girlfriend in the accident, so I couldn't leave her here alone.
You've just met her and already you want to be alone with her? It's dangerous. You're not just anybody.
Yes, I know. I'm a prince, yada yada. Allow me to stay with her. I've come to inform my sister that I'm staying.
Is she badly hurt?
No, she's better. She's just going through an emotional shock.
Go and get her. We're all going back to the palace right away. That's an order.
But there's still one small problem.
What now?
I have to send my guards to Babas to pick up his child.
Let's go. We'll all go get the child.
To what do I owe this visit? The king and all his retinue? Or maybe I've been chosen to become the prince's wife. I'm going to go home and put on some makeup. You never know.
Are you sure this is where your son is?
Yes.
Isn't that Rachel? But what's she doing here with the king's motorcade? Rachel? What are you doing with kings?
It is a lengthy narrative. How is my young lad?
He's already asleep. But where's Noeli?
Can we go inside, please?
Okay, but what's wrong?
Let's go inside. Noeli is no more.
What do you mean by that?
Your friend passed away.
This is not possible. What did you do to Noeli? But what happened?
We'd had an accident last night, but unfortunately she'd had a major shock.
I see. But where's the money you received?
What money are you talking about? But that's mean. They say your friend's dead and all you can ask me for is money.
She's already dead. What could I do to bring her back to life?
From the start I sensed that you didn't love her. Come into my arms, my boy.
You left me alone here, Mom. But I was sick.
I'm so sorry.
And now where shall we go?
We're going to the palace.
But what would we do there?
God knows, let's go.
Hey, what are you doing over there? Waiting for you.
Give them a little time. It's about a mother who has found her lost child.
At your command.
Rachel and her son returned to the palace. They were comfortably seated. The prince ordered his guards to make sure he had everything he needed. That night, Rachel and her son had slept like newborns. Their bed was so comfortable they thought they were already in paradise. But early the next morning, Rachel got up to clean the house, but the servants wouldn't let her. By daylight, the prince and Rachel were on their way to Noeli's funeral. The king and his daughter were mourning at home.
It's okay, Rachel. Stop crying. It won't revive her.
I know, but this girl didn't even have time to repeat herself before she left. She still had the good in her. I still remember like it was yesterday, the first time we met. She gave me a gift of over $300.
Man is never 100% bad. There's always some good in us.
Thank you so much, my prince. Thank you so much for everything you've done to make this event possible.
You're welcome, Mazalu. Your sister was a daughter of this kingdom, so it's my duty to do what I did.
Isn't that the lady from the ready-to-wear boutique? What's she doing here?
Sorry to leave you here alone.
Oh, aren't you? Don't even worry about it. But tell me, do you know this lady?
She's Noelle's sister. What, you don't know her?
I recognized her, but not as Noelle's older sister. I don't know any of her relatives anyway.
Ah, I see. You were still in your hospital room when she was popping in and out.
Ah, it's a small world.
And the prince, where is he? He has to compensate us. The palace must compensate us.
But take it easy, Kojo. He's not far away.
What the hell? He ran over my sister. He has to compensate us. These people make rotten sacrifices to get wealth and power. I'm sure he sacrificed my sister.
Ah, looks like you're right. I understand why he insisted on covering the expenses for the ceremony.
But it's not enough, Masalu, it's not enough. He has to compensate us. We had invested in our sister. He has to pay us $100,000 and come back here for the big ceremony. He must bury my sister like a queen.
But you're exaggerating, don't you think? $100,000 is too much. It's true that I also need the money to renovate my store. And if we ask them for $50,000 with 20 hectares of arable land and 5 hectares of farmland, they'd have no choice.
$70,000 will do the trick.
Oxen, let's go home now. I'm going to the store.
Okay, but we have to summon the prince this very week to present him with our opinion.
Masalui and his swindling brother thus planned how to swindle the prince and his entire family. But what they had forgotten was that they were in a state of law and in front of a powerful kingdom.
You didn't have to do everything you do. You were just as much a victim of the accident as the rest of us. It was God who saved you, otherwise you might still be in hospital.
Yes, I have the grace to stay alive, so I have to do what's necessary. But you didn't introduce me to the lady your son was staying with, so that I could thank her.
She didn't come.
But how is that possible?
I wouldn't know. The only thing I can tell you is to be very careful with all the people around Noelle. They're all strange to me.
And why do you think so?
I don't know why myself. That's what came to mind.
Rachel and the prince returned to the palace.
Father, we're back.
How did the ceremony go?
Fine, Dad. Just that Rachel was a little sad.
Where is she?
Probably in his room.
I can provide a team of 4 maids and 2 guards ready to assist her for as long as she desires.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, stop it. You don't have to thank me. Ask her to come and see me.
Okay, Daddy.
How are you, sweetie?
I'm fine, Mom.
What a smile.
When you were out with George, the king gave me a ride.
That's interesting. And where did you go?
I'm not telling you.
Come on, talk to me.
We were in the park, and he'd also taken me to another palace. I had a lot of fun with King Simon's grandsons. I made friends with the king's little princess.
Very nice.
Where's George?
We say Prince George.
No, he refused to let me call him that. He says he prefers George.
Please call me George. My father wants to see you.
Oh yes, of course. His Majesty, here I am.
Arise, my daughter. Please leave us alone. My dear Rachel, I hope you're well.
It's all right, my king. I'm sorry. This morning I thought I'd come to say hello and thank you. But you're still resting as we go to the burial ceremony.
Oh, don't worry. Let us rather thank God who preserved your life and that of my son. And may Noelle's soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Indeed, the reason I called you was to discuss a delicate matter. First of all, please excuse me for what I'm about to say.
Oh, my king, what are you apologizing for?
I took the liberty of prying into your life and your background. I see my son attached to you, even though I know nothing about you. I didn't know who you really were, so I decided to find out.
You've done well, Your Majesty. I'd do the same if I were in your shoes.
Do you know Nana?
Of course she is. She's the friend of our late Noelle and the one we picked up my son from yesterday. What's wrong with her?
She told me about you.
She did, but what did she tell you?
That you're a prostitute. And that it was on the way to your place of prostitution that the accident happened. Please know that I'm not judging you.
Oh my God.
That was her version.
Rachel was furious, but took the time to tell the king all about her meeting with Noeli and her gang of friends, and even talked about Masalui's wickedness. The king immediately believed Rachel's words, since he had already extracted some information from Musa. You yourself know the innocence of children. Yes, Musa had spilled the beans. Well, at least what he still remembered about his story was his mom's.
What your friends had wanted to do with you. It's really abusive. I also have my doubts about Noeli. Where she was taking you was to the house of an evil man, and God only knew what would happen to you there. In the end, she was the villain. Don't worry. I'll know what to do when the time comes.
Why did you automatically believe me?
Because Nana wasn't the only person I'd got the information from. I'd even been to your village and the town where you were married. And finally, your son was a witness to the events, so he told me about you too. Your story touched me deeply. I and my children had never known suffering in my life. What you and your childhood went through was hell. Please stop crying. This story is already behind you. You and your child will start a new life. You're one of us now. I proclaim you noble of this kingdom, you and all your descendants.
To what do I owe this honor, humble servant that I am?
It's not me, but the God who brought you here, the gods. Servants. Come, all of you. From now on, you will obey this lady as you would one of my children.
God, you don't know what it's like. You are wonderful in my life. You are the God who makes me strong. Success is my life. Lord, I have nothing that doesn't come from you. How can I say thank you? I'll shout to the world that you are Lord. You are the God of the impossible.
Noeli has just been placed on a very high level in the kingdom of Damascus. It's unimaginable that one day a widow and an orphan would become nobles.
It's already almost 9 o'clock. Isn't she ready yet or what? Rachel. I'm going to sit down and wait for her to come.
What do you got, George?
Wow. But look at you. You've metamorphosed. You're beautiful.
Are you serious?
Believe me.
If you say so, thank you. Otherwise, the girls weren't ready to leave me yet. They say I have to be perfect. But I got away without them knowing.
Welcome to the noble court. You'll get used to it very quickly. This is my everyday life.
I hope so. And Musa?
You know who he'd be with. He's in the bedroom with Dad. Let's go.
George and Rachel are going to a wedding ceremony for a prince of the northern kingdom. They should go together with the king. But given his frail health and the distance involved, he had to entrust his orders to his son.
I'll show you around the kingdom after the wedding. But we'll go to the palace afterwards to greet the king.
Yes, of course. I can't wait to see what happens on the other side. What do you think you're doing?
I'm going to take you for a walk on the sea. Come on, Rachel.
Two can't ride. I'll go up after you.
All right, Rachel. Behave yourself.
What do you think?
George and Rachel had fun all day long. Everyone was surprised, since the prince was usually rather quiet. On their return to the palace, Noeli's sister and her brother managed to invite the prince to explain their wishes. That of being compensated to the tune of $70,000 and all the rest. The prince was shocked and wasted no time in informing his father of the situation.
Tell me, after your investigations into the accident, what was the report?
Investigations show that the girl exceeded the speed limit by over 160 km/h on this road, where the maximum allowed is 120 km/h. And according to the doctor's analyses, she was also under the influence of drugs.
Yet the families are asking me for $70,000. They're crooks. We have to get to the bottom of this drug affair. In addition to her siblings, Nana is deeply involved.
Who's Nana?
This close friend of the victim. She's very suspicious. Go and arrest them all. Let them suffer the punishment they deserve. Do your job.
Nana and Noeli's brothers were arrested. Nana finally confessed, under the effect of the punishments, that she and Noeli used to take drugs. As for Noeli's brothers and sister, they were locked up for 5 months and fined $2,000 for fraudulent acts. 5 months later.
Dad, I'd like to tell you something in confidence.
You would? Go ahead, I'm listening. Thank God for that. You've made a good decision. I've known ever since the two of you loved each other. Does she know what you want?
Yes, only that she hesitates because of the reaction you might have.
Oh. What would I have against a beautiful decision like this one? Don't worry, I've wanted to ever since. She's a good woman and you'll make a good husband too. You have my blessing.
1 month later.
You're sublime, Rachel.
You're the most beautiful man I've ever met in my life, George.
Today I want you for life. You'll be queen of my heart and queen of my kingdom. The whole kingdom will be at your command and you'll be my heart's chosen one for life. Amen.
George, I'd like to thank God for putting you in my path. You were an angel sent by God to change my history and that of my son. I bless the Lord for his grace and promise lifelong fidelity and obedience to you. I love you.
I love you too.
And so ends the story of the ox Rachel and her son Musa. Musa had been blessed with 2 little sisters and was legally adopted by George. This gave him the title of Crown Prince of the Throne of Damascus. My brother, my sister, anything can change in your life one day, no matter what level you're at today. You may be as poor as a church mouse today, but surely tomorrow that will change with God's grace. Whatever your situation, know that nothing lasts forever. Pray, be honest, base your principles on the fear of God. Your time will come too. Only God can change a person's story. So never lose faith in Him. He will change yours too. Amen. Subscribe and activate the notification bell for our next publications. Please do so. God bless.